Boom, we're on the clock.
All right. Welcome back, Cotter.
60 minutes of mayhem with Gregg Zart.
Look who's back.
Now, we're doing something a little different this time.
Okay.
First off, let me say this episode, like all episodes in the foreseeable future, is brought to you by the movie we made, Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jack. Coolest flick ever.
Yeah, stick around at the end. You can see a trailer. We're not going to talk much more about it. But speaking of movies, we're doing a new little sub-series of Hard Out called My Favorite Movie, where we have a guest on to just geek out about their favorite movie. In part, because we find when we do movie reviews, first off, who cares about what two more fat white dudes have to say about movies? Secondly, it's so easy just to be critical and shit. This way, you always have someone who's passionate and into the thing talking about it, you know, which it's very fitting that this is our first episode of this because your pick might be the most popular My Favorite Movie of all time.
And you know why?
Yes.
I mean,
that score is a big reason.
Yeah.
What other movie can you instantly identify by the score?
Right.
Indiana Jones, maybe all Lucas shit.
Okay.
Jaws, Spielberg, and Lucas. You know.
Yeah. John Williams.
You're just showing off now, but yeah. No, but exactly. One of the greatest, if not the greatest movie of all time.
And the sound in general, beyond the score, that turned me on a lot. Of the ships and the lightsabers, you know, and the ships. It's just
right?
badass.
Yeah. Epic.
So, what impact? Why is Star Wars, after all these years, still your favorite movie? Because it was my favorite movie for years as a kid, but now I like creepy, weird shit. Obviously, if you stick around and see that trailer, you will see that Star Wars is probably not my favorite movie. But
you know, it's funny because when you asked me that, I literally had to stop and really think it through because I am a movie buff. If you could see this wall here, you can maybe see this wall behind me. There's over 600 movies, DVDs on that wall. I have a huge collection and I love movies. So there's a lot that were in play. But when it comes to, here, let me get there we go. But when it comes down to it, Star Wars had the biggest influence on my life. You know, I was 10 years old when Star Wars came out. And so, you know, picture yourself as a 10-year-old you. Previously, all I had to play with was like Lincoln Logs and glow-in-the-dark pickup sticks.
There was no PlayStations. And
there was no video games.
There
was no Transformer toys. There was nothing. We're talking glow-in-the-dark pickup sticks, fellas, and that was a fun night, you know?
I mean, if you get some mushrooms, that shit's still hard to beat.
That sounds fun.
So I very vividly remember going to see Star Wars at a drive-in theater, believe it or not.
Yes.
Nice.
On Slater-Kinney Road, named that band is named after that same road because they had their studio there. And it was like that moment in Wizard of Oz where everything goes from black and white to color for me. It just snapped me into like, oh my God, what am I seeing right now? Because it was so, you know, outside the box and cutting edge for its time. This is 1977.
Yeah, that's the year I was born, dude.
Right. And so, you know,
I was 4.
Basically, George Lucas had to invent special effects for this movie. I mean, and so it really had a big impact on me because it just fueled the fire of my imagination for my whole life, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Same for us, man. I mean, I got to say, out of all the shit growing up that we loved, E.T., Indiana Jones, etc., Star Wars did the most as far as fueling the imagination. And Chris and I were just talking like a week ago, having a little bit of a theory that I wonder if it would have had that much impact without lightsabers. Like the lightsaber itself might be the sole factor that drove that shit to where it went, because there's nothing cooler in movies than a fucking lightsaber.
It's the perfect example of the hero's quest in a 3-act, you know, story. And so it hits all of those buttons where you have, you know, a protagonist and an antagonist, and the hero has to overcome and struggle and overcome and
answer the call,
you know. And so it's got like all of that Dan Harmon kind of story circle stuff going on. And so that's also what kind of draws you into it. But they had to create, just like what John Williams did with the music,
Amazing.
you know, it's like a classical piece where he designed themes for certain characters.
Around each character, yeah.
Yes.
Right, you know, when Darth Vader walks into the room,
Yeah, it's like an opera or something. Yeah, exactly.
it's like an opera, a
Yeah.
modern day
Space opera. I mean,
Yeah. I literally instantly, all of us on the playground, and you know, I was still in like whatever junior high or grade school, I guess at that point, 10 years old. And so we all had nicknames. I was Obi-Wan, you know, we all had Star Wars nicknames within like the first month of that movie coming out. And
is
so
that the character you identified with the most? How did you end up with Obi-Wan?
you know, I don't really know how. No, I wanted to be
You're
Luke.
Like, bitch, I want Luke.
Come on,
Everyone
I
wanted
want to be Luke. I want to be that.
I wanna be Han.
Dude, swinging on, yeah, you
Some
wanna be Han.
blonde-haired Aryan motherfucker ended
Good
up being
choice.
Luke. Yeah.
Good choice. You
Okay,
know,
I want
so-
to be Chewie. I'm a furry.
But I
wanna be
and
Leia.
so I guess
Still do.
basically I had to pick it as number one only because it's the one movie that really changed my course and my outlook and my whole, you know, psyche, really.
Yeah, that's really what this is about too. I mean, if I were to pick my favorite movie, I don't know if Chris and I are ever going to do episodes of that, so I'm not necessarily going to say what it is, but it's not that. It's like something that you come to later in life and it hits you in a certain way, but it's not the most formative thing. But I do think that's a great criteria for
Well,
people
I love
to make
the,
their pick. You
That
know?
animated movie, A Waking Life, or I
Oh,
also
yeah, fuck
really
yeah.
loved
Linklater.
Sin City was one of my favorite movies of all time. So there's like a bunch up there that I really like, but Star
Yeah,
Wars,
Impact.
and look what the ripples in the pond that Star Wars left for the movie industry, for the special effects, you know.
I got a little list of things to talk about because I was like, Star Wars, what can we say about it? So
Yeah.
I wanted to just make sure we had some things to touch on.
Perfect.
Two of them you just did. The merchandising, the way
Yeah.
it changed the game, and the other thing, practical effects versus CGI.
Okay.
That's something we could talk about in depth. 'Cause-
Merchandise, fellas. Okay. I've
I was going to
always
ask if you got the
collected-
toys. and
I've
shit.
always collected cards, baseball cards. I
Okay.
have the complete
Oh,
Star
fuck
Wars
this.
collection, every color from
Damn.
1977, mind you.
That's worth a
I'm-
pretty penny, I bet.
we're
Get those
talking-
things PSA graded.
Hey, we're talking. I even
No
still
shit.
have the wax papers that the cards came
Damn.
in, and that the gum was in.
Dude, this is beautiful. Like, you
You
had
know
to
what I
pick
mean?
Star Wars. Thank you for picking Star Wars.
Yeah.
Total nerdgasm.
Yes.
I literally, I have doubles of most all my cards too. So if anybody out there wants to trade, I am missing a couple gaps. I
Oh,
think I'm
shit.
missing blue card number 63. I'll trade you like 10 cards for that one if you
Oh,
want.
Nice.
shit. All
All right.
right.
So
That makes it
Yeah,
collection.
folks, the call
no,
is
I
out.
have a hell of a card collection when it comes to Star Wars because I was obsessed with this
That's
movie.
great. There's some
Did you get the
Pawn Star
toys
shit.
too? The action figures and
You
sets
know,
and shit?
okay, I'm embarrassed and ashamed and angry at myself, but I hawked all of my unopened Star Wars action figures when I was going through a rough patch and I needed money, and I got a bunch of money for them, and I wish I had them back.
Yeah, I've been there, dude. Like, you talk about that 600 DVD collection. At like 3 times in my life, I've amassed like a fucking 800 to 1,000 movie collection, and they had to sell them all because I was broke. But
Yeah,
finally at a place now I just buy like $2 DVDs on eBay if I see them. That's it.
and I mean, I had unopened boxes of all of the figurines, the models, the TIE fighters, the Death Star.
Damn.
No. Did you play with them shits too, or just
As a kid.
Did you,
some
like-
of them I did, but
Yeah, so you
I've
took
always
some
been a
out of the box and
collector,
played
so I was careful to keep. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
not even opening these.
Dude, wait. Are you
B&J,
saying
a
as
lot
a
of-
kid? As a kid, you wouldn't
As
even
a
open it?
child,
right?
as
That's
a
some
child.
discipline,
What?
man. I would have been like just tearing into that shit.
Yeah.
Jay and I think that
But
was
the ones I really liked, I got 2 of them, and I played with the other one, of course.
yeah, that's what I was wondering if you just got doubles and play with the
Dude,
one.
we would tear those fuckers
did.
open in the car. Our mom's like, you can't open it until you get home. We're like, just peeling back corners and shit. Like,
I mean, a lot of people might have the cards, but who has the paper that the cards came in at the
No one-
store
I
dude,
know.
those are probably worth money on eBay.
from like
yes.
77? You know
yeah,
what
if you're
I mean?
like the
Have you
year.
looked it up?
Yeah.
Huh? No, I haven't looked
Sorry.
them up. But I mean, I have stickers. Star Wars. Look, these are stickers from the original card series.
I remember
You
those.
know?
Love it.
Yeah.
Like, oh. Anyway,
But
just
what
to
was
say-
there before that? There wasn't like Bonanza and Gunsmoke and Wizard of Oz
Well,
fucking
there was,
merchandising out the ass like that.
Well, you know, it's funny because they came along at the right time when merchandising and marketing was really just getting going. I remember I had Planet of the Apes cards.
Yes. Well, that's true.
had
If you think of all those Gilligan's Island, Scooby-Doo, all that kind of shit.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I think, came out around that same time, and I had all those cards. And I had Star Trek trading cards. So, but Star Wars, they were the smartest ones. I mean, with the Star Wars cards, on the back side of the card was like an individual little piece of a puzzle of a picture. And if you collected all the cards, you could put them all together and create a new picture, a poster out of those. So they were clever in their marketing. They made you buy lots of stuff.
And Star Wars, though, when you get a card, it's like this cool, dope, individualized, idiosyncratic character versus Star Trek, where everyone fucking looks the same for the most part. They have different eyebrows or whatever.
right. Exactly. So,
were you a Trekkie at all? Like, because that's something to talk about too. Is the Star Trek versus Star Wars? You know,
I'm an original series Trekkie. Although I like Next Generation because I thought Jean-Luc Picard was amazing.
I always liked Star Wars because it was just more gritty and junky and shit than
just janky
Star Trek. You know,
shit.
But the future that Star Trek tries to envision with this federation of planets and people trying to cooperate and stuff, even though you obviously have your villains in it and shit, was a brighter future. But that's partly why I like Star Wars better, because it's more dystopic. And
now
Star Wars is the Western, the samurai movie that he based it off.
Now, who would have thunk I could bring controversy to a discussion about Star Wars? But here we go, kids. You know what I do. You know how I do it. I'm Gregg Zart. I think that Luke originally was romantically attracted to Leia. The storyline hadn't been developed that was his sister yet.
Yes,
I don't think
that's true. Yeah,
I don't think that it was episode number 4. I think it was number 1, and they saw how big it went, and he said, "Wait a minute, we could build some more stuff around this."
Well, let me ask you that the episode 4 thing. I always remember it being there. Was that in the very first theatrical run?
Was, right?
Did it always have the episode 4 thing?
No, never. Episode 4 came along when Phantom Menace came along.
No way.
No,
that's how I feel. No, because
I mean, like the actual on the crawl, though. I thought it was there.
I mean,
before.
nowhere in any of the original memorabilia does it say episode 4 on any of the cards, on any of the trading cards, on any.
Some nerd will straighten that out for us.
It's all Star Wars. But
maybe it was episode 4, but maybe they named it A New Hope later, but it was just episode 4.
He was into Leia.
Oh yeah, I saw that as a kid.
Right, he was jealous of Han.
Known things.
Yeah, he was talking about how hot she was. Right. So
this is why I don't listen to my favorite shit as an adult, though, because I want now as an adult for it to go there. I want that crying game moment and shit when he finds out it's his sister and he's been lusting after his sister. I just wish it went there. It'd be fucking amazing, but. It's it's made for 4-quadrant tentpole families, kids.
I follow Mark Hamill on Twitter. He's one of my favorite.
Me too.
Yeah, tweeters. And he's been very active in this election process. I think he's been.
I got a lot of friends. He retweets and shit. He's super interactive. He's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Huh. Very cool. He's one of the few left alive. It's they're dropping like flies.
I know, it's crazy over our lifetime.
Dude, when Harrison Ford dies, it's gonna because Indiana Jones. For me, I think Indiana Jones trumps Star Wars. Indiana Jones is my shit.
I practically cried when Kylo Ren killed Han Solo. Okay.
Oh, let me talk about that for a second.
I have to admit, it didn't do much for me. It didn't. I don't know. The last 3 feel like fan fiction to me. I almost don't even consider them real, like the same characters or something. I didn't have any connection.
I mean, let's face it.
Minimal.
It's Star Wars: New Hope. It's Return of the Jedi. Right. There's really
your ordering. You mean your ranking?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be right. It's the first 3 that are really Star Wars. It's that trilogy. Everything else was kind of built around it, I feel.
And the auteur, even the first 3 was still Lucas, but after that, it really is kind of fan fiction. I mean,
Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, New Hope, those. Well,
he didn't even direct Empire, which is crazy.
Right. Which was good. I think it was a good move. It's my favorite.
And it's my favorite too. It's most people's favorite. But now he was total auteur on the prequels. That was all him,
Yes.
but that was kind of a problem.
To his detriment to a degree. Yeah, the third one is pretty cool. I'd put it up there almost with Empire. Probably my second favorite would be the.
Yeah, Chris and I actually did like a 3-hour review of what is it, Rise of Skywalker, or the Last Skywalker.
The last one, yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
The last one.
And we got into all the Star Wars shit. This was in our old podcast, Holy Clown Cinephiliacs. You could search it on YouTube. I think it's a double feature with that and The Man Who Killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot. It's like
I got that. Yeah.
So anyway, though, but we touched on that. I don't even know what the fuck I was just saying. I got distracted.
Well,
our favorites, our rankings.
Oh yeah, we ranked them all. That's exactly what I was getting at. We ranked them all, and I think it was those first three, and then the third prequel. That was like our fourth favorite, I think, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
it was pretty good.
I thought they tried to get a little too cute with recreating history and digitally sort of manufacturing things. And even
I don't dig that
after Carrie Fisher died, how they included her digitally in the last movie.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's
that
something
I could sort of see the necessity,
which was cool. I mean, I'm not hating on that.
Killed off yet or anything, but
at least it looked better than the Irishman.
But the shit like in the first one when they were going through the town in Tatooine near the beginning and they added just some monsters, just kind of for no reason. It kind of takes away almost from the composition of the scene and the mood of it and everything. So yeah, I feel like just when it was made, just let it preserve it in time and
And it was
that speaks though to the CGI versus practical shit then. See, that's part of the problem with CGI is there's no, it's like that old Orson Welles quote Chris and I invoke all the time. He was talking to Henry Joglum at lunch. He said something to the effect of the enemy of art is the absence of limitation. With practical effects, you had a limitation in there where you had to create each and every effect. So you weren't going to make every little fucking plant coming out at you and shit when you go by. But with CGI, they just do too much. It's like, oh, let's make every little thing character almost, a
lot of Star Wars was model based, like actual 3D physical models.
Got me into filmmaking to a large degree, is seeing the making of behind the scenes stuff where they actually had to figure out how to do it practically.
The sleight of hand of filmmaking is one of the great arts of filmmaking, and it's totally lost with CGI. CGI
the Jim Henson puppetry and everything, it's awesome. Like the Jabba the Hutt in the Return of the Jedi, like that. The practical one is so much better than the CGI one they added in to the first one. It was just fucking awful.
And when I first saw Carrie Fisher in that outfit, chained to
oh yeah, slave
I was like, chicken bow wow,
just the right age. Yeah, exactly.
Getting hot in here.
Yeah, that was formative for a lot of people. Which these kids who grew up looking at porn on TikTok and Twitter or whatever the fuck can't even imagine that, like dudes jerked off to a Farrah Fawcett poster and shit. Like, like what?
I remember, and Star Wars it spawned so many different conversations throughout the years with me, and I remember getting into an argument with my best friend at the time, who unfortunately has passed away since then. But we got in this huge argument over Jar Jar Binks because I was so pissed that it was such a clear marketing toy manufacturing character that didn't add to the story, and I thought it was just so cheesy and a total sellout.
What was his defense of Jar Jar? I'm curious.
He said, homie got to get paid.
Oh, all right. So he was defending Lucas, not the character itself. And
no. I mean, that's the bottom line is he thought that it was shrewd and that someone had to tell that story, but I didn't think that Jar Jar Binks was even necessary, really, for the most part.
Didn't have to be featured like he was for sure. It almost felt like a diversity play because he's got this Jamaican thing going on.
Yeah, it ends up being almost
which is very weird,
casting or stereotyping or something.
Right, the token territory black dude almost like he's the Lando of this shit, which sounds crazy to say, but they totally culturally give him that.
That's what
affectation kind of Jamaican Islander kind of thing.
Have you heard of the Tao of Star Wars?
It sounds familiar, but
the Tao of Star Wars. So there's a Tao of everything. It seems like there's a Tao of poo, blah blah blah. It's just how does this certain thing relate to Taoism and like their philosophy?
Winnie the Pooh.
And so there's like the Tao of poo is actually really cool.
Yeah,
but
I've heard.
But
of that.
The Tao of Star Wars, it kind of boils down to the Chinese term Wu Wei, which is sort of to act without acting. to move without moving. And so it's basically, it ties in Luke, feel the force flowing through you into Wu Wei, and how it like all connects.
Flow
back.
state.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whereas the dark side is all about your emotions and your anger and stuff. So it's actually kind of refreshing to see a film that says, rather than like let your emotions control you and follow your heart, it's more actually the opposite in this. It's like,
yes, have discipline.
You're going to end up getting too passionate and abuse your power and shit.
Which, not to get all political, but we will at some point. The whole left-right thing, that's what I want to say to my fellows on the left. Like, dude, you guys are going to the dark side with all this cancel culture, emotional shit.
Exactly.
Be fucking intellectual samurais, Vulcans. Keep your shit together.
Police
dude.
too. That's a problem with the police. They get all
emotional. Everyone's
they need some Jedi training.
Fucking emotional.
I take it you've seen I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but you've seen my QAnon video and my interviews. Well, I'm
horrifying and
you should see some of the comments on the video now.
And horrifying.
All right. Well, we'll get into that. We're going to do a regular episode of Hard Out too,
perfect. Good, because I want to talk about how evidently I'm now a libtard for making that video. Go figure.
All right.
I don't know.
Let's
dig in. Love it. Yeah, we'll get into that.
It's fun. It's great. I got screenshots. Star Wars. What about the costume and design and the whole stage production? Like we take it for granted now, but the stormtroopers and Darth Vader, that shit is brilliant.
Amazing.
It's amazing. It's so iconic, and they created the icon. Like
that's what makes it so much better than Star Trek to me. Star Trek is just like, all right, here's the uniform, and here's what Klingons wear, pretty much.
True. More style.
Yeah. If you die today in the crew, you wear a red shirt. That's it.
Right. Exactly. You mentioned the themes of Star Wars being very archetypal with the hero's journey and all that. You familiar with Joseph Campbell? The
love Joseph Campbell and the Power of Myth. Love it.
Yes. So in that, I believe he talked about Star Wars as our modern mythology, because we've lost the Greek gods, the pantheons of old, and everything, and now things like Star Wars fill that role for us. Comic books and etc. They're the gods now in our
Star Wars rings a lot more true to me than the Bible.
You see how I'm throwing in a little sound effects every once in a while?
Yes, you're going to get us pulled from YouTube, motherfucker.
Right?
Right. I do want to start adding sound drops like Biden. Come on, man. Throwing shit like that in once in a while.
Get your Fred Norris on.
That's one of my favorite parts of that show.
Totally.
John, is anyone ever better than John Williams? I don't know. Not at what he did, really. For his genre, he was the king.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what sucks about these new movies too, and the merchandising and all that shit? Like Chris said, the whole Kylo Ren killing fucking Han Solo thing didn't really resonate with him. For my kid, I was like, all right, my 7-year-old, we just watched what the fuck is it? The Force Awakens 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is going to be his big Luke, I'm your father moment. We had seen the earlier movies, but I think I showed him a little early. He was 4. I probably should have waited till he's 6, so I could really feel the impact and should have your father and shit, But I saw it when I was 4, and it was huge, so I thought maybe it would work. Anyway, he had already fucking known because of the Lego Star Wars video games. Spoiler all the fucking plot
alert.
Yeah, so he's like, he's going to kill him. I was like, what? Yeah, he's going to kill him right here. I was like, what are you talking about? Are you just guessing? He's like, no, I played it in the Lego video game. I was like, you motherfuckers.
Kids are
Don't spoil the movies with the games, you jackasses.
No, that's lame.
He's 3 moves ahead of you right there.
It sucks.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, Harrison Ford wanted to be killed off in a Star Wars movie for years.
Oh, yeah.
It was well known. I'm sure they
stopped asking about it. And
they did it partially as a favor, for sure.
What a fucking Force ghost is.
Yes.
Right.
I love Harrison Ford.
Alec Guinness, although he got chopped down in the first movie, they found a clever way to bring him back a bunch, because then he was in the spirit world hanging out with Yoda.
Yoda, Yoda.
Yes. Damn it. I'm trying to remember what it was. I just read an article about Carrie Fisher took Harrison Ford to hang out with someone. I think it was the Rolling Stones or some shit all night. It was in London when they were filming there. This is way back in the day, the 70s, because Carrie Fisher's
she liked to drink a little bit,
Yeah, but she was just a celebrity this kid. You know what I mean? She was in like Paris Hilton style and shit early on. She could make like Harrison Ford was still like he was in Apocalypse Now and American Graffiti. No one knew who the fuck he was.
Without the sex tape.
Exactly. Unfortunately. There's some Betamax out there probably knowing her, but
I mean,
but Harrison Ford, I think she just called him up and she's like, dude, you got to come with me. He's like, what? She's like, we're gonna go party, fucking. And I think it was the Stones. Don't quote me, but there was some crazy rock band that they just partied with all night and then showed up the next day to film Star Wars shit. And Harrison Ford was just hammered. I think it was the thing I was. Yeah, it was the thing I was checking out of famous scenes where actors were literally drunk or stoned.
Did it say what scene it was? Do you remember?
One of them just where they're like bantering and bickering on the Millennium Falcon, and it said, "See this scene? It's like the only time they're smiling in the movie and shit." And you think
I was hoping it was a dialogue scene.
They're kind of liking each other a little bit or whatever, you know. But
I mean,
apparently they were just shit faced filming it too.
Yeah. But after this,
when you're
this
famous,
night of hanging with this rock band and shit.
When you're famous, you can do anything. You can grab them by the pussy. Yeah.
Right.
Dude, Harrison Ford is who I've always wanted to be, especially Indiana Jones. Throw some stubble in that motherfucker. That's like my picture of masculinity is Indiana Jones and shit. Like, but I would so much rather party with Carrie Fisher, dude.
No shit.
Carrie Fisher's a maniac. Postcards from the Edge. Shit.
Right. We all want to be Harrison Ford because he's like that badass, and he married that chick who was like 25 years younger than him, and he flies planes around, and he's cool as hell.
Fuck all that. I just want to be him from the
I want to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, he's two iconic characters. Like he's Han Solo and Indiana Jones. How do you pull that off? Like,
dude, he's fucking regarding Henry.
Like, you know, usually you get typecast.
J.J. Abrams, we got to get to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Usually you get Bob Denver and you're Gilligan forever, you know. But he became two different icons. Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
I wonder how much pussy Gilligan got. Did he get like Gilligan's pussy? Like,
you know, I just realized I'm actually Facebook friends with Tina Louise, her personal Facebook account. I was checking her out.
That's Ginger.
Ginger.
And so I was always
Marianne, man.
Yeah.
She looks like a 70-year-old Ginger.
You got to ask her. You got to ask her.
She looks like the skipper. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I don't even want to tell her the visions and the things that I did while thinking
I don't know if she ever fucked the professor, because you know the professor was all up in both.
He made out on that island, man.
Oh yeah. Well, I think
between the skipper and Gilligan,
Marianne was a freak.
Thirsty.
I mean,
Hal might have done all right if he was like, if we ever get back to the shore, I'll take care of you. You know. But
good point.
So Star Wars, okay, and what has it evolved into? It essentially created like a science fiction genre. It didn't create
that was there, for sure.
Like Lucas himself was inspired by like
it set the bar.
It set the bar. Like that. Yes, it
set
did.
the bar.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say it. But expanded it
with. Yes.
I think it was a geek thing, like Stephen King type freaks as kids were into sci-fi and shit. But I think Star Wars blew it up and expanded it to 4-quadrant. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then as they introduced new characters and it developed over time, it obviously it adapted and morphed. But Lucasfilm became, preeminent in effects for other films, other movies.
Oh yeah, dude,
and
how cool is
Disney,
Skywalker
right?
Ranch?
Yeah,
damn, that's got to be the spot,
right?
Dude. That's a life goal.
It's now Disney bought everything or something like that. Or?
Yeah, actually, that's something I wanted to get into as well.
Lucasfilm as well.
What do we think of the Disneyfication of all this shit? Disney ramjacking everything.
Can I trash Disney? Set it up and I'll knock it down because I'm not Disney.
Have you watched The Mandalorian?
The what?
Have you checked out The Mandalorian? Are you familiar with that? The show?
No.
Disney Plus show. It's a Star Wars show. TV show basically, but streaming. It's on Disney Plus. But it's Jon Favreau who made like the Iron Man. He was heavy in the Marvel stuff. So
familiar.
He's the basically showrunner of it. I mean, but it's had like Titus Welliver was in the last one and shit. It's got some interesting casting, cameo stuff, and everything, which makes it kind of fun.
It's a prequel.
No, it's like
it's set between.
What is it?
The first.
It's a tweener.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's after the Empire fell, and it's the Mandalorian who's basically this Boba Fett type bounty hunter.
Oh, right.
Baby
Well, and
Yoda,
they were teasing it out in the last movie. They were setting it up for that, basically.
Did they?
See,
I don't know.
that's what I felt like.
I missed that.
Yeah, I felt like.
You mean the last like Rise of Skywalker, the very latest one?
Correct, because it's almost like they wanted you to follow them, you know, on and follow her on her journey and anyway.
But this precedes all of that. This is
Oh, okay.
Well, have you seen like the memes of Baby Yoda and all this shit on social media? The Baby Yoda thing?
What's up with Baby? People are still obsessed with Baby Yoda.
That's from this show. That's why it's all current. The Mandalorian has a Baby Yoda in it. It's not Yoda, but it's the same fucking species or whatever Yoda is. I guess I haven't even seen it yet. I've been too busy.
I'm pretty current. I haven't seen the last one, the very latest, but I've seen all the rest.
Is it good?
I mean, it has a lot of good things about it, you know, but there are a few things, like even Baby Yoda itself, I feel is a little just too, I don't know.
Baby Yoda. This is too Baby Yoda.
It says it all right there, right?
Pretty sure.
Meanwhile, it's the most popular thing on Earth, so.
I was going to say, pretty sure you can't buy one for your kid for Christmas.
Oh, yeah, it's some Jingle All the Way shit for sure, dude. Sinbad and Arnold will be fighting over Baby Yoda's.
Right.
Actually, Sinbad just had a stroke. Sorry, go ahead.
Who did?
Sinbad. The comedian Sinbad, he had a stroke. But
for Mandalorian, I would have liked to see something grittier and more, because it's kind of inspired by spaghetti westerns and shit like that. Like it's got this kind of like outlaw vibe to it, yet it's so tonally.
It's pre-Finn. It's before Finn and all that and all that gang.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's between the first, the original trilogy and the sequels. It's in that gap. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel
too much fan service. Go ahead.
I did get the I did get the prequels and I bought them all and I have them all, but I just always kind of considered them fluff, you know. This is the original box set here of the important ones. But
Nice.
I was going to show you this. Here's some more memorabilia.
Yes.
Here's the original album.
Damn.
Dude.
With the actual picture book. With all the
better
stuff
put on
in
some
it.
gloves if you're touching that shit.
You know what I mean? Like this is all stuff that I have had for 40 years that I had as a child. And I also have the John Williams 2-album collection as well.
Nice.
So
I would love to get blazed and sit in the dark and listen to that shit.
hey, I can send you. I actually just burned all of these albums before I hooked up with you guys today. So I've got them all as MP3 files, so I can shoot them to you.
That's like with the vinyl noise and shit in it.
Yeah, it's got some crackle and pop.
That's
good.
It's
Yes, that's
authentic.
what we want. Yes.
But I'll put them on a Google Drive for you or something.
Sweet.
I'm sure being digitized, of course, it loses some of that analog.
Still, though, it's just cool to hear.
It'd be awesome, yeah.
Right,
These
I
are
was all
actually Gregg Zart's records. These are his records,
well,
man.
You guys got me all thinking and percolating about it. I'm like, you know what? And I started looking through my old card collection. I'm like, yeah, I got a good collection.
Dude, how good did that feel, though? The nostalgia doesn't just take you back to being a kid looking through those cards. It's fucking amazing.
I mean, and like how proud I was to like get the really hard cards that were hard to get, and then like they color coded the original trading cards. It's blue, red, yellow, green, and orange, and in order of release. So the blue cards were the first release, then the blah 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 blah. And so like to get in numerical order every single one of them, and man, I have nice protectors now, and they're all. But
we were comic collectors, but I was a baseball card collector.
Oh, I got a ton of baseball cards.
That's all I was into was football, baseball cards, etc. As a kid, but I know how hard it is to, and that was my thing, was completing a set from buying packs.
Right.
You end up with fucking so that's 12 of the same card and shit.
I want to tell any Star Wars buffs out there that also have trading cards, and maybe you got some doubles, maybe you got some extras. Well, I got a ton of doubles and extras. Maybe you've got some gaps that you need to fill in your collection from my collection. Maybe we can work out a little something, because the only card I'm missing in the blue series is number 63, and it pains me to.
Who is it?
63 people.
63.
It's let's see if there's a.
Is there a checklist? Because they used to come with checklist cards, which were awesome.
And ironically, it's the very last card in the set. It's number 63, and notice
that's got to be painful.
It's empty.
Is it the checklist?
That hurts.
A lot of times the checklist would be the last card.
Oh yeah, right.
No, well, let's see. I wonder if the checklist is the last card, and because I do have complete sets of red, yellow, and green. So nope, the last card was not a checklist in the red. It's this man right here.
Who is it?
Oh shit! Your namesake,
fucking
man.
Gregg Zart.
That'll complete the circle. Yeah.
Crazy.
Damn,
So
someone's got to come through on that.
So anyways, I love Wheel and Deal because I have a collection of doubles that's bigger than my collection of originals of everything.
I wish we had an actual audience to help you get your card. But
dude, check this.
You know, yeah. See, I've got. I had made checklists here of what cards I was missing of which ones. You know. Yeah, very cool.
Can you see this right here? Look.
No, I can't really make it out.
Kind of. Yeah.
Luke
tell what it is.
Yeah, I see. It's a blue card. Is it number 63?
It's number 63. It's Luke, and
that's the one I need.
Oh, okay.
Sells for like $200.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And that's like ungraded, bro.
Let's start a GoFundMe.
Oh, there's one for $100. I don't know if you care about condition or whatever. But,
I wonder what the other cards.
That's what I'm saying. That Spiner might be worth like $2,000 or some shit.
Because in the blue set, I have 1 through 62. The red set, 67 through 132. Yellow, 133 through 198. And green, 199 through 264. Complete sets.
Crazy. Now, I will say, as a baseball card nerd growing up, I know with vintage cards, the first and the last were often harder to find in better condition because kids would wrap rubber bands around the stack of cards or whatever.
Hilarious.
The first and third or last would get fucked up. So that might make it worth a little more. So maybe that $100 or $200 it's worth. The others might be 50. Who knows?
Yeah,
but dude,
and it's an iconic character.
Right. Oops, sorry.
But if you didn't handle them a lot, if you were the kind of kid who wouldn't even open the fucking toys.
No, they went into sleeves when I was a kid.
Yes.
Your shit's probably pristine and worth bank. Because that was ungraded. Those PSA graded cards, if you get a 10 mint, it's usually worth like 5 times whatever the book price is.
Yeah,
that shit could be a gold mine, dude. Sell some of them bitches and get an Ethernet connection so we could podcast.
Now I want to look up the value of the other cards in the set. You know what I mean?
You should start like a Google Drive doc or something where you can just link it to just whoever else that might want to swap, because you can just have every one that you're missing on there. And
man, where's Tradio when you need it? Swap shop, right? Tradio. I've got a 7 Lando Calrissians. I'll trade for a.
Sorry, I had to look for
Luke and his X-wing fighter. I almost said X-wing, right?
We were talking about the merchandising earlier. There's that show on Netflix. I think it's called The Toys That Made Us.
Yes.
And a couple episodes are really good. The fucking Masters of the Universe is great.
G.I. Joe and He-Man. Yeah, that shit.
Yeah. And the Star Wars one, they get into the like genius, marketing they did behind it. When they weren't ready for a character to come out by Christmas, instead they would be like, you can mail in, you send in like so many proofs of purchase for.
Oh yeah, we did some of those.
And because they didn't have the toy ready, so this was their solution. Was
the Kickstarter that shit
this
basically
marketing gimmick? Yeah, that actually maybe sold more in the end because of it.
Well, like remember the fridge in G.I. Joe? We had Sergeant Slaughter and William Refrigerator Perry. There was a fucking G.I. Joe figure of, which was stupid because he wasn't even fat. It was so weird. Like I was hoping we'd get this fat ass G.I. Joe, but he just looked like Roadblock and shit.
Yeah.
Did you say you're a comic book collector? Oh, I got comics.
Not anymore, but we were,
Oh my God, do I have fucking comics? I mean, we're talking.
Holy shit.
Dude, Casper and shit.
We're talking a lot of Superman, a lot of old Superman. Early X-Men.
All right, that's money.
Nice.
First off, we were Marvel nerds and fuck Superman.
Yes.
Right?
We were Star Wars over Star Trek and
Marvel over DC all day.
Yeah.
Twice on Sunday.
Did you love it when Batman was just kicking the shit out of Superman in Batman?
Dude, I haven't even seen that shit.
Yeah, it was. I didn't see the movie, but I read the comic back in the day.
Yeah, you haven't seen the movie?
I know, dude. I got a kid. All I watched, like last night, we watched The Adventures of Tintin, which, by the way, is fucking awesome. If you haven't seen it, Spielberg.
Is that the dog?
Yeah. Well, I always thought it was the dog, But my wife corrected me because she actually had a childhood. I was watching like The Killing Fields and Witness and Exorcist and shit when I was like 6. But I remembered it as the dog, but that's Rin Tin Tin is a fucking dog. Remember like a German Shepherd Rin Tin Tin?
Yes.
So that's what I thought this shit was. So I never even looked at it.
Like,
Thought it was kid stuff. But Tintin is some French reporter, like a young reporter guy who basically does Indiana Jones type shit.
Huh, okay.
So he's like finding artifacts and solving. It's more like a mystery, though.
Brown.
It's like Indiana Jones meets Encyclopedia Brown. Yeah, exactly. And Spielberg made a CGI movie of it. And it's Spielberg as fuck. It's awesome, dude. Like the directing, the set pieces, everything. It's fucking good, dude. Watch it. Like grown-ups watch it.
All right.
It's fucking fun.
Fucking way
and
too
the
long
kid
list.
loved it. He was like, what? Because most of these kids, you know, all these Wonder Park or whatever these shit CGI movies are that come out, Spielberg ain't fucking making them.
Right. Where they're
Brad
like
Bird's badass with Pixar, but Spielberg level Pixar movie, essentially.
you know, I'm one of the reasons why I like to buy the movies and have them is because I'll rewatch a movie a bunch of times, and I watch all of the extras and the things on the
we love
at the end because I love to see the process and how people how they were thinking and how they put it together, and it gives me ideas.
I just watched one on The Exorcist. Speaking of The Exorcist,
on The Exorcist,
yeah, that's legendary as far as the actual filmmaking process, the making of.
But some of these CGI movies where they're on sets that are just draped in green, green everywhere, green, and they're completely, you know, acting like things are happening around them because the director's saying, okay, there's someone snapping at your face right now. But it's just all CGI green screen crap.
Yes. This show, The Mandalorian, I mentioned, the new Star Wars show, it's shot in a pretty new, novel way, which actually it's green screen, but instead of green, they actually project what will be the imagery.
It's like massive 200-foot or whatever fucking like LED screen.
Holodeck almost sort of thing, right? Wow. And so the characters actually do see Tatooine or whatever,
they see 2D versions of it
when they're acting, so it's less distracting. Yeah.
I want to say something real quick, though. I've been thinking about this, watching my kid and playing with my kid. The green screen thing is almost you can make an argument at least, the purest form of acting.
Yes.
It's like when you're a kid, it's pure imagination. Imagine there's a dragon. Imagine this.
Right. It's a good point.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
If you frame it that way. But you're like, wow, to be like for Hugh Jackman to do some of the shit he did with Wolverine.
Right. You got to be a better actor.
Amazing,
right.
Yeah.
Well, because you often hear them say, the actors when they're talking about, how the movie was made and the production design, they'll say something about, a physical set that was built and be like, I really appreciated that because it really gets you into the mood and gets you into the scene.
I can see that for sure.
When you have something to play off of, when it's just green everywhere, what do you do? But it blows my mind that they can actually pull that stuff off.
That's what I'm saying. It's it's a unique skill set, but it's almost the purest form of acting. It's like, imagine we're just in a field, but no, we're on a battlefield or we're in space or whatever.
I have motion tracking on my new video editing software, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to be doing some lo-fi effects, motion tracking and things.
Nice.
Pretty excited. Cool. I'm also making a music video, but that's for another day.
For a song you made or a music video for another artist?
A friend of mine who, makes some really angry kind of, insane clown posse kind of music or something. But he wanted me to do a music video. And so we've been shooting it for we started in the summer. It's been the coronavirus video on and off, but we finally just wrapped on shooting. So now I actually have to put it all together and it should be fun.
Cool.
It's but let's what do you have any questions for the Star Wars enthusiasts out there or me? Anything else you can think of?
I was curious what you think of the sequel series in general. Did you actually like them or no?
Seems like he just doesn't give a shit though. He's like originals or die basically.
Let's just so first off, I'm a stoner. I like to smoke weed, and so I love to just kind of veg out and watch something that takes me off into like science fiction land. And so in that respect, they were really good. And
being moved by Harrison Ford or Han Solo's death and shit. So
right, and I like how they were trying to create like a total tapestry to weave the whole story together, and by bringing the characters through. But it's just, it doesn't seem like Star Wars to me. It feels like Star Trek, Next Generation kind of stuff.
To me, what it is, honestly, though, it's an energy problem. First off, all the way down to like Harrison Ford, who's like, all right, this is finally my last one. I can get the fuck out of this. And be done with it.
Right.
To like Chris said, the fan fiction energy versus, think about the original Star Wars. Think about when they went to make that shit and no one fucking believed in it. And it was a bunch of fucking nobodies making this fucking crazy movie they all thought was probably going to fucking bomb and shit, and became the biggest thing fucking ever, which is mythic in its own right. And
like Nirvana
to the making the new ones, where it's just a bunch of people who are like, we fucking love the old ones and now we get to make our own and shit. But there's none of that fucking pioneering and trailblazing and daring do or fucking out on a limb shit Lucas got so rich because the fucking studios gave him merchandising to not pay him real money because they thought it was all going to be a flop and shit. Like, that's the irony of it all. Like, he became a billionaire because he said, all right, I'll take less money for the merchandising. That's the greatest gamble, or at least just, you're already fucked in a negotiation. Take something from it that you can, and it later pays off.
Turns out to be
and guarantee the merchandise made tons more than the box office,
So all of it, though, the new ones is what I'm getting at. It all feels like everyone's like, I'm honored to be in this, and there's this whole air of just bullshit about it.
Well,
versus just give me Tommy Wiseau and his motherfuckers and the Disaster Artist, a bunch of fucking losers coming together to make a movie.
Well, basically,
no one cares about that. Energy to me is so much.
If you get asked to be in a Star Wars movie, you're going to get in on some of that back end. Right. And so you basically just won the lottery. Like, I'm honored to be in this movie too, because I just won the damn lottery. You just gave me like, the platinum black plus extra credit card because you're going to get rich. So of course they're all like,
right. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody, like Daisy Ridley, fucking homeboy that played Finn. I always forget his name.
And honestly,
they did a good job. When I watched Adam Driver,
John Boyega.
He's awesome, by the way.
Chris, you were asking about how I felt about the other movies. I really liked the Finn story and that backstory. I thought that was
that concept too.
I love that concept.
Stormtrooper who turns and becomes
who breaks out of his shell.
Idea. I feel like they exploited it the way they could have, but it was cool.
Yeah, I feel like they could have done more with it. Actually, supposedly the third story originally was going to give him a bigger role of like turning Stormtrooper.
Honestly, I think the whole trilogy. Let me say that here's the thing I came up the other day after watching it with the kid. First off, fuck Rey. No offense, but that's like it felt like a female empowerment play. All this shit, like
the Mary Sue they call it.
Yeah, Mary Sue type shit.
Yeah.
To me, the most compelling story in all of it was Finn. By far.
Yes.
This guy who was built and made and groomed to be this thing, and he rejects it. I mean, who better as a actor in the rebellion than a fucking turncoat from the Empire?
That would have been, way more interesting.
Amazing. It should have been his trilogy. Fuck Rey. Who cares? This is the one shit.
They just
your family. No one knows. No one cared who her family was. The family shit. No one cared in the original until he said, I'm your father. No one's into families and caring who your grandparents are and shit. No one just gives a shit until you load it by saying, I'm your father with fucking Darth Vader. So they just, I thought they took the wrong angle into the whole fucking thing. Wait a minute, before you go, let me say this real quick. My other thing.
Yeah.
Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Think how the first movie in this trilogy ends. Han Solo getting murdered by his piece of shit son. Chewbacca. Put yourself in Chewbacca's shoes. Your motherfucker, ride or die homeboy, Han Solo, just got murdered by this piece of shit. The rest of Star Wars should have been Chewbacca on a fucking warpath to get Kylo Ren, dude. How sick would that have been? Chewbacca
gets all Rambo on the ship, picking him up,
hunting Kylo Ren through the fucking.
With his own little troop of like Wookiees under his charge, but you know,
even people that like people who would follow
man, like the rebels, exactly, fucking awesome.
Droids and shit, just fucking what if Chewbacca just fucking
field.
took that shit and ran with it. Yeah, it would have been sick.
And that would have been way more character driven.
Character driven, exactly. And the Finn thing, character driven. So much to do with his character.
Turn stormtrooper.
And they didn't do shit with it, really.
And they gave it all to a hollow character.
And Rey,
it's always running and jumping. That's what they become, running and jumping movies. Just like J.J. Abrams, which we could talk about. He took Star Trek of all things,
turned into
running and jumping movies. Yes. Like, fuck that shit. It's boring.
Well, The Last Jedi got a lot of hate, because they made Luke all bitter and done with the Force and shit. But I actually loved that. Yeah, a lot of people hated it, even Hamill himself, supposedly. But I'm like, what? The actor not liking it isn't a reason to think it's bad, because sometimes bad things happen to the characters that that pathos makes it good. And there were some other decisions he had made I wanted to bring up in that people were criticizing, but I just
felt like the actress never really filled those shoes. She never really embodied that strength of that character. And it always felt like she was kind of lost and kind of timid,
just aimless,
and sort of like looking around for other people to kind of show her what to do. And I just never felt like she was a fucking badass Jedi.
Yeah,
it's true. That's ironic.
But real quick, I just remembered the other thing that Rian Johnson had done in Last Jedi that people criticized, and that was make Rey not have meaningful parents. Your parents were nobodies. They were just fucking scavengers.
That's beautiful. That's what I
loved that too. And again, everybody bitched about it.
It subverted the whole "you're the one" shit.
Spoiler alert. The Emperor's granddaughter and shit. And again, it's all about whose genes you have, what family line you are, what dynasty.
Fuck that royalty shit.
Yeah, I loved that they rejected that. Luke's a bitter, he's like, yeah, I've seen enough where just nothing matters and shit. And she's, got her parents don't mean shit. She's just a nobody who rises to the occasion. Isn't that so much better than this?
And dude, the running and jumping is such a fucking hacky thing, because it takes away so much time.
I yawned during those scenes.
And potential. Think about the dialectic you could have between Han Solo and Leia, where she feels guilty that Kylo Ren's the way he is because the Force comes from her side, and Han Solo, who made a baby with this chick who has this vampiric thing in her family, and it affected his kid, but he doesn't have it and shit. There's so much rich, complex character shit they just don't even fuck with because they got to run and jump. It's fucking lame. Now, not that the original Star Wars got into all that either.
That's true.
But what it did was planted the seeds for it. To not water that shit and cultivate it, to me, is just fucking lame, dude. No offense to J.J. Abrams and everyone involved. It's all fan fiction, but I'm just saying,
you understand why
the best fan fiction
like this,
evolves and elevates and revolutionizes the shit that you're a fan of. It doesn't just replicate it. And when you replicate something, it's never as good. It's a Xerox. Right. It's a copy of a copy, and eventually it just gets shittier and shittier,
Word. 100% agreed.
I don't know how much time we have left.
I don't know. I was just wondering.
Hopefully like
40 minutes.
I don't know what I have left. Well, Star Wars is a hard one to talk about because it's not like I love that scene where this and that, because we've all seen it fucking 1,000 times. But
have you guys heard the theory? I don't think there's any merit to it, but there are a few things that people point at that makes it kind of fun. That Jar Jar Binks was really like a
whoa. Sorry. Yes. Sorry, go ahead. Got carried away there.
What was sorry?
I hit the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That Jar Jar Binks was like this, the drunken master kung fu type, that like he's a bumbling idiot, but he's really a masterful and shit. Because if you look at certain scenes, this is great. If you look at certain scenes throughout, the movies he was in, he would like accidentally do backflips and dodge lasers and things. But oops,
But he's a Jedi,
right?
But he's really a Jedi drunken master. And there was one point where Lucas in the behind the scenes says, "Yeah, you got to get Jar Jar Binks right. He's key to everything. He's key to all of this."
Interesting.
And the theory is that he was a Sith Lord, and he would be the final villain of the last movie. Jar Jar Binks would come back, and Robot Chicken, the Adult Swim show where they take toys, and they did a whole thing on this where Jar Jar was this evil emperor and shit, and it's scary. He's just like, with his eyes and shit in the hood.
Yeah, I could see it being hard to pull off, and I could see an audience, if you're sitting in the back of the theater and you're Lucas and you're like, oh my God, how the fuck is this going to go when Jar Jar turns bad? Will people take it seriously? That's the question.
It's bold. Yeah.
Could you pull it off? But like, what if like he's in a lightsaber fight, and whoever he's fighting cuts off those fucking floppy ears or some shit.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? You could do something to make it like I'm gonna literally cut away the corn and get down.
Well,
to
they
the
were under the hood,
and
they even could be kind of.
That's true in a hood. Yeah, in a hood.
Well, and Lucas was sensitive to the criticism of Jar Jar Binks, and so
that's
perhaps
exactly
it was
it. That the theory
shrewd,
is that he
kind of like. Right.
You know
like
why he said it's critical? Because he's the king of sellouts. He's like, this is the toy that needs to sell.
Yes, I think that's what I think the truth is. I think really he said he's key because he's like what's going to make everyone like have fun or whatever and want to buy toys and shit.
What if though, man, I want to go in and pitch Disney and like, let's just for Disney Plus make an alternate ending now that you own this shit. Yeah. Let's just Jar Jar, who's all CGI anyway. And here's what you do though.
Yes.
You make him reveal that voice was a ruse, the drunken master shit, and he's like, I'm fucking Jar Jar and shit. You know what I mean? You gotta get rid of the he means to fuck community shit.
Unfortunately, neither one of the Thornton brothers could actually get an interview with any Disney execs because they both have facial
we had
hair.
Meetings at Bad Robot, bitch.
No,
that's true.
No, it's facial hair. You got way too much facial hair. You got mustaches. You got beard.
Hey, listen.
I'll sell out and shave.
Listen to me. Listen to me for a second.
Right.
For $1 million.
We are nobodies, but we had a meeting at Bad Robot where we pitched them a Cloud City TV show before they even bought.
We wanted to do
started Disney Plus and started doing their own shit.
Lando Calrissian as like the Tony Soprano. Yeah, he's like casino because this Cloud City was this like contained like environment, but it had like casinos and all this vice and
it was like Vegas
to it, joint unions. So imagine
Vegas.
A young Lando Calrissian, Michael B. Jordan, or whoever playing
the Godfather type shit.
And he's got to deal with all these fucking problems in the city and shit. Yeah, it would be amazing, wouldn't it? And then you got like visiting Empire people because it could happen.
The rebellion shit. He's got a balance.
You know, it's like his rise or whatever.
Yes.
Did you do a treatment or did you write anything?
We did
we just pitched them verbally, and they said
we had a lookbook. Too,
we did.
I don't know if they saw it. Yeah,
I don't think we ever showed them, but we just pitched them verbally, and they were like, they have so many plans already. They're not even taking original ideas. It's like it's going to be basically whatever J.J. Abrams and his friends and shit
Favreau
think of at the time. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Telling you, what happened was you walked in that office, you were all prepped, you probably had a great speech ready, and as soon as they saw that facial hair, they just clicked off.
Yeah, right now all writers have beards,
our agents told us never to change it because but that was when we were pitching the Revenger, which is this gritty like
dude, honestly like 90% of the male writers have beards. They're all hipsters and shit.
And I just remember
mustaches and shit.
At Disney sending when I worked for a bakery and I worked in the cake decorating. I would like airbrush cakes and make
wait, what?
Yeah, I was like a cake decorator for a while.
At Disney?
Okay? No, at a Top Foods. And so, but Disney would send us threatening letters from their legal department talking about
they sued a daycare
how we were like violating because I put like Goofy on a cake or something, and they would take that stuff so serious. Like,
just consider it a cost of doing business for being the most popular thing on earth.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying? You're still making billions. Like if you're fucking suffering, it's one thing.
That's free advertising. Just call it free advertising. All these kids are going to have a Disney cake and they're going to want Disney shit. I wonder if Walt Disney was that kind of piece of shit. What would Walt Disney think if he saw what all these losers
imagination
who came after him trying to squeeze every drop of blood from the stones he
exactly it. Yes. It's sort of like Hefner's children taking over Playboy. Okay, yeah, it's just not the same. The same with Walmart. The original Sam Walton. Sam Walton was a pretty cool guy. His kids are slimy. I've met a couple of them.
Really? I want to see a Gregg Zart's production video on the Walmart kids.
Well, I worked at one of the top 10 grossing Walmarts in the world. We used to get like VIP visits from Rob Walton all the time. He'd fly in his little jet and do a tour.
Dude, make a fucking Walmart video, Gregg Zart style.
Sort of like Roger and me.
Wait a minute. You obviously haven't seen my Walmart video. Has almost 900,000 views.
Oh, wait. Is it the one about people living in campers and shit?
Nope. It's called Walmart Behind the Scenes from an Ex-Manager.
Oh, my God. All right. I love you. You already did what I said you should do.
Yep. And it literally has almost 1 million views.
Give us a link. We'll link to it.
Yeah. So it'll have 1,000,007
Yeah. No, it's pretty epic. I mean, I because I was the assistant manager, I like had access to the safe, so I even shot video of me like opening up the safe and like, look at all this money and just
this
doing
sounds
crazy
amazing.
shit. Doing
sounds
crazy
like a
shit.
documentary.
Yeah. I knew that
shit.
I would get fired if I ever did it before I left the company, so I was just putting it in the bank, you know.
How did you feel as a Walmart manager about all the Star Wars shit that would come in and the displays? Did you ever like steal like a Darth Maul display and shit?
No,
and put it in your little
but because everything at Walmart comes from China, you know, so it was basically all made in China, and so very little of it, you know, really the Star Wars stuff really never made it to our shelves because it got lost somewhere between China and North Dakota.
Interesting.
I hear North Dakota. Oh, well, that's a whole other story. What we must be. How do we know when it goes? Ah!
I don't know, but the best thing is if we're not talking about it when it happens. So
that's probably true.
How many times did you jerk off to Princess Leia in the bikini?
No,
how many times?
Leia in that bikini with.
You're alone, right?
Yeah. Is it cool if I start filming now?
No, when we get inside.
Why are you here?
I just thought it was really interesting, you know, that someone hasn't left their basement in 6 months, not even to use the bathroom. Is that true?
Why would I want to go out there? I got everything I need right here. That's what's wrong with most people. They're weak-willed pussies and parasites who buy into that whole "it takes a village" bullshit. You know how many aliases I've used calling into radio shows?
I've had it up to my goddamn gills with the systematic feminization of this country.
Of course we want you. Get your own damn show if you think you got that much to say.
You live in your mom's basement.
Get down! Fuck you! What's so special about my loser son?
You really do hate your own mother.
She's a woman. Why wouldn't I?
You know, there's some disconnect there, and if I could find it, what is hate? Where does it come from? Where does it go?
You want to know what gender you are? Reach down the front of your fucking pants and shoot fucking kite. Black Lives Matter. Do you call horses slaves? Liberal fucktard. Enough with the parades and the rainbow flags.
Dude, this guy's... it's like pure hate, man.
I want to see something really fucking cool.
This guy is a fucking animal. He's got himself on a leash. He's itching to get off that fucking leash. And he's gonna fucking kill some people.
You want to fucking show?
Stop!
What do we hear?
Look at me! Look at me!
We're gonna help you show them the light. We're gonna change the world.
This is Cactus Jack coming to you live from a studio audience.
To the man who calls himself Cactus Jack, we have watched as you have rocketed to infamy.
And you wonder why these cornered animals lash out. Pick a fucking side.
And now, we have watched as you have called for literal blood.
I know you're out there listening. It's buzzing in your ears, burrowing into your brain.
Do it.
Jack, you're gonna love this. I pulled that trigger on that motherfucker's head.
Your VPN will not shield you. The darknet will not hide you. You and your kind are finished.
You think I'm scared of you?
Come and fucking get me!
Might I be your neighbor? Neighbor?